Hi, I'm Bill Tate with Caldwell County Now and Then, also in association with our Caldwell Heritage Museum, and I'm bringing you a new series of videos called Caldwell County Reflections. These videos are about our senior citizens and their memories of days gone by. Today I'm with Bob Morgan. We're down on Lake Hickory on gunpowder, and Bob's going to tell us about his World War II days.
I'll tell you about part of them. I was stationed in North Africa, and with ATC, Air Transport Command.
Okay.
People don't realize it, but what ATC did during the war. We flew supply into Europe, all through Africa, and we brought the veterans, the wounded back from Europe and India. In fact, I made a couple trips from Merrill's Marauders. I brought them back. It was good duty because we lived near a big city. We got to see sights, got to see the pyramids. It was, I call it a paid vacation. And I met a lot of interesting people. God Almighty, you can't believe it. One good friend of mine was Egyptology at the Cairo Museum. A good friend of mine was Colonel Stratford. He was charged of the British Lend-Lease program. And because I knew Colonel Stratford, TWA had me buy surplus equipment from the British. It was a lot of money in those days. It was $2.8 million. DC-3s were 20,000. For using parts, it was 10,000. Of course, I never went for parts. Spare engines were $250. Complete shops, prop shops, carburetor shops, name it. And TWA had a big maintenance base in Cairo, and I like to think I was part of it. And I'm talking about the people I met over the years. I knew King Farouk. In fact, there's a place in Cairo out towards pyramids, out towards Giza, called Burst of Turf, and that was King Farouk's hangout with his current girlfriends. And he was kind of rude. But she knows. I whacked him across the arm one day. He tried to steal his chair from my table. Oh, you can help me, Jan. Some of the people I met.
Well, are you going to go from when you first went over there, or?
No, in Cairo. I was talking about Cairo. ATC. ATC. It. That was World War II. It's what he wants.
Okay, during World War II. So your time at Painfield?
Painfield, as I said before, we supply for all North Africa, all Europe, and litter patients brought back. Really. Oh, you got a buddy. You got a buddy.
Okay. Okay.
Get off.
Of course you're hitty. Come on.
Really, ATC was only thing different than ATC and civilian life. You had a uniform. We were civilians.
Okay. Did you tell them what ATC stands for?
That's what.
Did you tell them what ATC stands for?
I sure did.
Okay.
Air Transport Command.
Okay, and how was it instrumental in the war effort?
I just said that. We
Okay.
supply all North Africa, Europe. Litter patients.
Right.
That's about it. Really, with the ATC, it's not like regular military. People didn't recognize rank. Like I have a story, a Christmas story, and I'll let you read it, but I only have one copy. I have one copy. During the war, we brought a bunch of P-47 pilots out of Italy, out of Naples, to Jerusalem for R&R. You know what R&R is. And we stayed at the Rockefeller Museum. I got pictures of it. Big place. And when you stay at the Rockefeller Museum, it doesn't make any difference whether you're a private or a general. You're all the same. And I was a little bit of a, what would be the word for it? A renegade. I came out of the Rockefeller Museum, I think it's the day after we brought these troops in. And it was a brigadier general, 27 years old. And a bird colonel, 25 years old. And the general says to me, "You understand you've been to Jerusalem before?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I know pretty well." He said, "You want to show us around?" And I looked at him and said, "General, this is Christmas. There's no rank. We're just a bunch of guys." And he put his hand out and says, "Lead away." And I don't know where it is. That deal, I got the affidavit from, I got a thing from Church of Nativity, showing where I attended the service, me and the colonel and the general. And I knew a Franciscan brother there would helped. And also, after the Mass was over with, we saw the sights during the day. And that night, they called it the Fields, on the outskirts of Jerusalem, is where the Protestant services were. And even though it was wartime, God, the road was crowded. And we got out of Mass, and I don't know if we could get out there or not. And so I said to the general, I says, "I know why you're getting out there, but you could get dirty." And he said, "Lead away." We went through back alleys and back streets and everything else, and we got out there in front of the whole group. And we went to the Protestant Mass.
You went over walls?
Protestant service, yeah. What's that, hon?
You went over walls? And
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's about it, but that's what it was during wartime. Really. I tell people about the 27-year-old general and the 25-year-old colonel. They don't believe me. That's the reason I don't talk about it. I tell my family about it.
But that was because of field commissions, right?
Huh?
That was because a lot of the guys got field commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's one thing about the military. It's well, the whole time I was in, I was I'd say a renegade. To me, it was a way of seeing the world. I spent as little time on the base as possible. I just took off. And sometimes it wasn't the best in the world. We got a few fights. But back in those days, I could take care of myself.
He would like to get a little background on your childhood. You know, that you were born.
What I said, I grew up during the Depression. Let's put it this way. Money was short. I used to work. I worked. I did a lot of yard work. To mow a lawn, I used to get 25 cents. I had 2 newspaper routes. 2. Morning and evening. We needed money.
His dad worked for Sinclair Oil, laying pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times when he wasn't getting the work, and they depended on Dad.
Right.
And
Matter of fact, he went to work for Glenn L. Martin,
yeah,
making warplanes.
I made I worked a lot of overtime.
And he-
I was worked 60, 80 hours a week.
But your mom would take your paycheck, and how much would she leave for you?
$12.50.
But she took the rest of it.
And that took care of my meals at Martin's. And I was making about $80 a week. That was a lot of money in those days.
See, he was the oldest of 3 kids. So, he had a lot of responsibility fall on his shoulders.
And that's the reason I dropped out of high school. Went to work for Martin's. And
And probably the best thing that happened to you was going into the Army Air Corps. Because
That's right.
you got a taste of the world,
yep,
and he never went back to Baltimore.
that's right. That's right. When I left home, my folks tell the story. The day I reported in, I went out the front door. I saw an airplane flying over. And I said, Mom, next time you see me, I'll be flying one of those.
You've always had a love of airplanes.
And
Who was the old guy that had the plane when you were growing up? What?
I know, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, because there was an old guy that kind of got you interested in the whole
Yeah,
thing.
experimental aircraft.
Hmm.
He owned a filling station. And I used to go over there and help him.
But he got his first taste of aviation then.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing much more to say. Really. Like the whole time I was in the military, we had a colonel, CO was great. What the hell he do? I did something, and he told me, there was a couple of us. It's some, I can't remember what it was. He said, you're going on TDY, Morgan. I says, what? He said, you're going to Florence, Italy. You're going to school up there for 10 days. And I want you to sign in every day. And I don't care what you do in the rest of the time. But it was his way of reciprocating. I forgot what we did. I told you. God, we did so much. Oh, remember that picture I showed you, the hurricane? I mean, the Shimoa? Yeah, that was it. Because I don't care who you were. Airplanes were piling on top of each other. And a lot of boys got hurt bad. I didn't. And it was A-26. And the military back in those days, when you parked the airplane, they used shocks. You never set the brakes. Stupid. And I got this A-26, and I'd never been one before. But I fired up the engines, got head into the wind, set the brakes. Then I was on frequency, and some major in his tower said, I'm trying to remember what he said. Are you qualified on an A-26? Hell no. He told me, get out of there. Get out of the airplane. And I ignored him. And he told me to report to operations at the tower. I went up there, and he really listened to me. And when he shouted at me, actually some spit came out of his mouth and hit me. And I hit him. I hit him so damn hard, I knocked his fanny clear across the room. And coming for General Court Martial, head superior officer. And before we got all through, this major and I turned into good friends. What's that?
How about the transition from being an aircraft mechanic to being a pilot? Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
But CO Breckenridge, I was a bad boy, Bill. I came up for general twice.
Got busted back once too.
Huh?
You got busted back a rank too once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you know,
but it was different back in those days.
from everything that you've told me, I think that even though you were, like you said, kind of a renegade, you were a little bit of a rebel, is that he was willing to take chances, but not unnecessary chances. And that made him pretty well suited to do a lot of the things that he did.
Mm-hmm.
He could think on his feet.
It's what, hon?
You could think on your feet. You know, if a situation came up, he could come up with a solution
Right.
pretty quickly.
I'll tell you a story. And you probably remember it. Tet Offensive,
Oh, yeah.
January 1968. January 28th, I think it was. Am I correct?
Right around there, 28 to 29.
I was at Tonsanut. And that's when they hit. There was my airplane had a Connie.
There was a lot.
Pan American had two 707s. Seaboard and Tigers Run was CL-44s. And my engineer, believe it or not, he was original class for the astronauts with planes and so on. But he just didn't make it. And the motors are running across the field, and he says, "Bob, they're motors." I said, "Hell, I know what they sound like. Don't give me that." And ever been to Tonsanut? Saigon? Have you ever been there?
The airport in Saigon.
Right back of military operations, you got the fuel tanks. Big fuel tanks. And the mortars hit them. Sky is lit up like you won't believe. It's night. And they had what's the name for it? Bunker.
Mm-hmm.
A bunker, and I made a run for it. My crew made a run for it. And there was some people in there, and I damn near killed them because I landed on top of them. And let's see. Oh, then it got real quiet. And my airplane wasn't hit.
One of the few that were not hit.
Three of them were hit.
Right.
And Pan American was not hit. And so the Pan American captain said, what are you going to do, Slick? And I says, I'm going. He says, you can't take off without permission. I said, maybe you can't, but I can. And
you have to understand that the runway was mortared also. So they didn't know where the holes were.
so what I did, the main runway was 24. So I taxied down to runway 6 and taxied up the runway. I was looking for holes in the runway. And there wasn't any. So I got down the end, turned around, and took off. I was supposed to go to Clark Air Force Base.
Where's that, in the Philippines?
You can make me forget, hon.
Okay.
And I counted about 10,000. I got a hold of Hong Kong and told them what's going on. Believe me, they didn't even know about it. I told them to Hong Kong. I told them that the base got hit. It was a mess. And I said I want clearance to Clark. Well, it was a checkpoint. I was holding over it. And they came back with clearance. I told Pan American. He says, you can't do it. And I says, like hell, I can't. So I said, stay on frequency. I told him what I was going to do. So a little while later, I heard Pan American calling Hong Kong, getting clearance. And we shot the bull. And that was it, really.
What was interesting, though, is Dad was flying cargo in there, so you were going out light, right? You didn't have
Yeah,
anything.
I got rid of everything.
But Pan Am had passengers on board. And, you know, Dad's like, I'm getting out of here. I don't care if we have clearance or not. And Pan Am wanted to get out of there because he had passengers on board and they didn't know what was going to happen. So when Dad took off, I guess Pan Am was not too far behind him. And Dad had already scoped out the runway,
Right.
so they knew that they weren't going to hit any big holes.
Yeah, and that's it. There's more stories, but I can't recall them.
How about, let's backtrack now.
This what, hon?
Let's backtrack now, okay? Because we know that, you know, where you served in Cairo and Libya and that kind of stuff, right?
I'm
When you were in the Army, you were in Libya, you were in Cairo. Why don't you talk about the hump?
I made. I said 2 trips. Actually, it's 4.
Okay.
When you made one trip across the hump, that was one trip, but not a round trip. In other words, you crossed the hump one time. So I said 2. It was 2
Explain
round
what
trips.
the hump is.
He knows.
No,
No, but, the,
they don't
the
know.
audience won't know.
Huh?
The audience won't know.
They won't
The hump
understand.
is. Chenault ran the hump, and let's put it this way. The average number of trips over the hump before he
Explain
got
what
killed.
the hump was, Dad.
The Himalayas.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what we need to
The
know.
Himalayas. We go from India, Burma, into Kunming, in China.
And what was the reason for flying the hump?
Supply.
We were supplying China, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Supply. And well, it was dangerous. Chenault, weather never took weather consideration. You just went. And when you took off, you don't always be your last trip or not.
Lost a lot of guys flying the hump.
The average, I was told the average number of trips over a hump was 2.5 trips before he got killed.
Really?
And I got some friends of mine flown 150, 160 hours on a hump.
And they remained friends.
Huh?
And they remained friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We get together. It's a whole new world, really, and we bounce off each other.
And after you flew the hump, your next transition was into Saudi Arabia, right?
Well, I flew the hump during the war was probably 44, 1944.
Okay.
And I went to Saudi Arabia January 3rd, 1945.
And the way you went to Saudi Arabia, all of a sudden they said you're discharged, right?
I told them about that.
Okay, you didn't tell?
Well, we had a fellow in my squadron, Bill Rousey. He was a flight officer, and believe it or not, a lot of the people in ATC were flight officers. They didn't take commission because you make more money. I think you pay for flight officers about the same as a major, if I recall, and most people in ATC, they had prior experience flying, or else you did well in school. And that's all I can think of.
Well, explain the transition when you went into Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Bill
because
Rousey.
you
Bill
were-
Rousey. I told him that story out there. I came down from Turkey or Tehran, I don't know. I think it was Turkey, Ankara. And I got in wee hours in the morning. There was a note on my bed to report to headquarters for separation. And I called Rousey. I said, I didn't say I would take a damn job. I was going to think about it. Well, you got it. You got the job.
He was like, sign the papers.
Signed the papers. And I said to him, We had 3 airlines starting with Saudi Arabian Airlines, Ethiopian Airlines, Iranian Airways, and 2 airplanes going to the oil company, Aramco. And I asked him, I says, what's the best, Bill? He said, Aramco. He said, the food's a whole lot better. And,
And explain what Aramco was back then.
he knows.
No,
They don't know.
Aramco, oh my gosh. Aramco, people don't know it, is the largest company in the world. It's worth about $800 or $900 billion. Billion. And it started back in the 30s. And
Let's talk a little bit about
hold it.
Standard Oil going
No,
in there.
don't stop me. You'll get me confused. Was a geologist over there called Max Steinecke, big man. He, I think he went to the University of California and University of Georgia, something like that. He's the one discovered oil over there. People do not know this. It's because the Hughes bit. The Hughes bit, it doesn't pound a hole in the ground, it grinds it.
Explain that. That's as in Howard Hughes.
right.
And see, you just got me screwed. There was one place called Daman number 7. Max said there's oil here. They said, well, they told him no. They brought in a Hughes bit, and they went down a couple thousand feet, and boy, they hit it. In fact, I don't know how many oil wells. It was probably a couple hundred oil wells before they got a dry one. And Max flew with me. We were friends. He was a big man, and he used to sit in the right seat. And he looked at the countryside. And I wrote a story on this. And he explained the land down there, the landscape, what was there. And he was right.
He was the one that figured out that the oil field stretched from where in the south?
It went from southern Arabia clear up to Kirkuk in Iraq.
In Iraq. That whole thing was oil field. He figured it out.
And back in I sound like I'm bragging, but 47, it's on my logbook. You ever hear the Trans-Arabian pipeline? It goes from Tehran into Europe. It makes a stop in Lebanon. I flew it. I flew that summer gun. 5 days.
And that was that the tap line?
Tap line.
Yeah, that's what it was called, and that's
But-
you'll see write-ups about
Well, we
the
call
tap line.
we called
That's
it
what
we
that
called
was.
it Trans-Arabian pipeline then, and I got a story on it. I'll find it. You can read the story.
How about this? Because you were over there early enough. The reason why Standard Oil got so involved, because you were telling me about how some of the Saudis felt about the British and how they liked
Oh,
the
yeah.
Americans.
Well, the first oil was hit was over in Bahrain, and Phillips, and they came over to Saudi, and didn't know worth the daggone. And of course, Americans came in, and Max Steinecke was really he's the only man that out of the Aramco employees owned stock in Aramco. He was a multi-millionaire. And it was fun. It's like when I was flying the top line, or pipeline, we didn't have stuff like this. We'll pull escape hatches out. The guys were there with still cameras photographing the land. Really. And I had about, I think, 5 or 6 seats forward, bolted to the floor. And Max He didn't like those seats. He was a big man. We put a big overstuffed chair back by the cabin door, and he sat in it, and he supervised.
Because he could look out the door.
Yeah. Oh, I had the
Yeah.
cabin door open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you had told me is that Standard Oil came in just because the British ruffled so many feathers with the Saudis. And King Ibn Saud liked Americans because there was no pretense.
Yeah.
That, it was pretty much what you see is what you get.
Right.
And he respected that.
I told him about this. I was telling him about the Bedouins earlier tonight. The greatest people I met in my life.
Yeah.
So, no baloney about them. Just good people. And so the guy's telling Bill, we go to Cairo and buy candy and come back and give the Bedouin kids. Oh, we were liked. They liked peanut brittle.
Mm.
And I used to get peanut brittle because they got chocolates. It'd be so long it'd be melting. You see?
Okay, why don't you talk about your transition from Aramco to the startup of the airlines over there?
It was the Saudis?
Yeah.
Aramco.
How long did you fly for them?
Hold it.
Okay.
I think I was part of the problem. We were flying C-47s. The 46 is a much better airplane. I think a C-47, cars paid a little about 2,500, 3,000. C-46 would carry 13,000 and faster and longer range and a much better airplane. So I went to Aramco. The head of Aramco was a guy named, I'll think about it. Oliger was one of them. This guy was McGregor or something. I said, you get C-46s. Frankly, I'm for the 46 because the range, altitude. See, the 47s we had one was A model, one was a B model. The B model had high blower, the A model didn't. So you get about 12, 13,000, that was it. And the 46, you can stick at 30,000. So I told them, get the 46. Well, TWA, they didn't know anything about 46. They wanted the DC-3. And next thing I know, they wiped out the contract. So I'm going to go home. And I go through Cairo. The chief pilot for TWA was Hugh Herndon. If you do history, he was remember the NC-4? The Navy airplane? There was 3 Navy airplanes that went up through Newfoundland, down the Azores, into Europe. Only one made it. Hugh Herndon was the pilot on it. And he was our chief pilot in Cairo. So I'm going back to States, pick up my tickets. He says, why don't you go down to Saudi Arabia? I said, what's the money?
Can I backtrack a little bit? Explain what tickets are.
Who?
Explain what tickets are. Tickets. Explain what you said you were going to go back to the States and get your tickets.
Tickets, licenses, U.S. licenses. He said, the money's the same. We had a couple tiers, but I got the top tier. And so I went down to Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, for Saudi Arabian Airlines. And for some reason, I flew the royal family a lot. I learned to speak Arabic.
And when one thing I think was funny is when he first went over there, what were you, all of 22 years old? 22 or 23?
21.
21. And there were some other guys there too. One guy was Ralph Austin. He's the last one left, other than Dad, that lives in Florida now. But there were like 4 or 5 guys, and the guy who was going to run the show is a guy named Joe Grant. And he was 37 years old, and he was the old man. Can you imagine being the old man at
And
37?
he was a TWA captain.
Yeah.
And small world. I'm from a little town in Maryland called Essex, Maryland. And there's another small town about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles away called Middle River. Joe was from Middle River.
Yeah.
Really. And so I had an in. He and I were good friends. That's about it, really.
Okay, but why don't you talk about bringing the planes back from Cairo? And,
What do you mean?
well, when you went to pick up the planes, did
Yeah.
you pick them up in Cairo?
I picked up SAR 2 and 3.
Right.
So we had SAR 1. One airplane FDR gave to the king. And the prince, or the king wanted more airplanes. So he bought SAR 2 and SAR 3. And these airplanes were plush. I think Glendale, California.
Plush means they finished them out, the interiors and
Right,
everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
But one thing that was interesting is that there are a couple of routes that you can fly in Saudi Arabia. The safest route was along the coast.
Oh, yeah.
The other route was shorter, but it was over the Rub Khali, which is the big desert. What's it called?
The Ruba Khali, in Arabic, the Americans got over there, the Aramco and so on. Ruba Khali, when you translate it into English, is the Great Waterless Waste.
They call it the empty quarter.
Now, wait a second, Jan.
Okay.
Aramco got in, they called it the Empty Quarter. And this didn't come until years later, until it's more or less taken over right now. And we used to fly down to Aden. We had to go from Tehran to Jeddah to Aden. It made a long day, about 9 hours, 3.
Just flying along the coast, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And a direct route from Aden to Tehran was about 7 hours. And we could do it on one fuel load. And I took it. And my boss in Cairo was, you check it out, the history book, at Suez Canal, the Great Bitter Lake. They had a translator there named Colonel Eddie. He is Lebanese, born in Lebanon. He was American though, but born in Lebanon. I had to report to him. Unofficially, he was my boss. He said to me, talking about the Ruba Khali, he said, I just got a Luger. He said, take and use it. Do yourself a favor. If you go down, that's it.
Well, that was standard issue at that point, wasn't it? You brought your guns because there was no rescue.
Yeah, and this is some things that happened. When I flew to Ruba Khali, we have to go way back, the Great Flood. The beginning of civilization was Ruba Khali. It used to be green. The Great River went down through there. And I flew across it, Ruba Khali. Every time I flew across it on the flatlands, I could see civilization, signs of civilization. And I went and told Eddie in Cairo about it. And a couple months later, he brought a bunch of people from National Geo over, Land of Queen of Sheba. And honest to God, we saw it the first time.
Tell them about the conditions at the airfield there in Riyadh or Jeddah. You know, they didn't have paved runways.
Yeah,
So what did they do to
just
prepare?
landed. Well, what I used to do was
Now, how did they prepare the runways?
didn't.
Well, they sprayed them down with oil and packed them, didn't they?
Nope,
Oh, I thought that they did.
nope.
That's what you told me.
I used to go in and drag the land, make sure there's no camels and so on there, and come around land. They didn't have any pipelines to those places.
Okay.
Only place you had a pipeline was Abcake. But you take Daharan, so on, the oil's not in there. And you don't have any pipelines, you don't have any roads, you have nothing. It's just plain desert. And there's never any problem. A little bumpy at times. I would like for you to look at some of my newsletters. And I'm very proud of them. And I said, I don't have the education, but I write a good newsletter, right, Jan? And people tell me that. It's hard to. When I honestly, God, when I sit down and start writing, I go to bed at night and I get a bug in my head, and I got to get up the next morning and write, and I can't write fast enough to put everything down, and I can do a story in an hour and a half. The one story I gave him, I'm very proud of, is the Memorial Day bit.
Yeah.
This is a good story. I had a friend of mine, he was a P-47 pilot, Art Austin. He,
Saltine.
Saltine.
Okay.
And the World War II vets at the airport, we call it the Band of Eagles. It's mine. I started. Me and Kyle. And Art and I became good friends. And we never know what we're going to talk about. Never, never, never. And it was Memorial Day. And he and I were out in the lobby. We shooting the bull. We never know what we're going to talk about. His wife's name was Anne. And she says, what are you two talking about? And Art looks at her and says, the thing we know best. Women. That's the way Art was. He was P-47 pilot, and he had war trauma. He was married about 60 years, something like that. And he says, his wife says, I never heard him talk like this before. Because we could start talking about things.
Well,
And
Art was not well, and his daughter would bring him over to the museum. And she was very concerned with him because he was not well. He didn't talk. He was depressed. Well, he got around these other World War II vets, and they would giggle like they were 16 years old and tell these stories. And what did Art say?
Kyle's one. He's look at their faces of these 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
We had only got a couple of them left. They're all gone.
Yeah.
We had 7 in the beginning, and I think we got Sherman. And that's all.
Well, Hal Muth.
Who?
Hal Muth, but he hasn't been part of that group that much.
Yeah.
Healy.
Dan Healy. Dan's okay. Oh, I know, John Parker.
And John Parker.
He was a navigator on B-17s. And honest to God, if I had the guys here and you set this thing up here, you'll hear stories like you would never believe.
That would be great.
It's we get together. A lot I don't talk about, and these guys don't talk about it. But we get together, everything's open. People don't believe us. Really. Like, it's hard to believe that World War II, your pilots, 19, 20, 21 years old. That's it.
Mhm.
And like say, John Parker said, he said a lousy time. He said we went from how do you put it? We went from teenagers to adults. We missed the worst part of our life is when you discovered girls.
Yeah, wartime makes you grow up in a hurry.
We grew up in a hurry.
Had to.
You did too, sure. And I never regret it. I don't want to do it again.
No, but it pretty much shaped your life. I mean, because
Yeah.
like you got out of Baltimore, you found your career. You know, there was no way you would ever meet Mom in Fort Worth, Texas, if all that hadn't happened.
Yeah. It, like I say, it was a paid vacation in some ways. I'm not kidding you. You name a country, I've been there. When people ask me what country you've been to, I said, it's save time. I haven't been to Australia, New Zealand, or Antarctica. I've flown DuLine. You know what DuLine was, don't you? The big radar system up the Arctic Circle. I flew DC-4s up there. It was cold.
But that and during Vietnam, you were flying into Laos and Cambodia and
Yeah,
Thailand. A lot of flights to Thailand after the war.
yeah,
He was into Bangkok a whole lot.
yeah.
And there was one story that he told too, is that he was flying a plane load full of beef,
What?
live cattle.
Oh,
Into Sophia.
I gave him the story.
Yeah.
I gave him the story.
Well, what I thought was funniest about it is at the time, it was communist. And Dad's whole philosophy when he flies is that when you hit the ground, you're in a new place, go see it.
Right.
So he left the hotel, and he had a comrade following him the whole time. Didn't stop him from seeing things,
Well, I
but they
get
were watching it.
I got into Sofia. Newspapers don't tell all this stuff. U.S. State Department. I'm flying DC-8. You know, it's a big airplane. It carries 115,000 pounds. Makes a B-52 look like a toy. We had 110 cows on board. Actually 220, because everyone was pregnant. And you know where it came from, the cows from? U.S. State Department. I can tell you this much. U.S. State Department. This was behind the Iron Curtain. And it was rough in those days. Because I wasn't too concerned about going into Sofia. It was coming out by airway. Because it's over behind the Iron Curtain. Bastards to shoot me down.
Yeah.
So I get into Sofia, and what else is the name of the outfit? Bulgarian Airlines. I picked them. Let's see, I was over in Europe at the time, and I get a thing from my company, and I knew a little bit about it. To get over to Sofia right away, first airplane. So I think I was from Munich or Frankfurt at the time. I went over to Vienna because Bulgarian Airlines flew into Vienna. So they had the airplane, this Russian airplane. It's equivalent to a 727. The crew was great. When I crawled on board the airplane, they treated me like God. The stewardess, everybody. In fact, the senior came back. She says, "The captain requests you come forward." And I said, "Okay." So we got talking about flying. Pilots are the same world over. And he says, "How many engines have you lost?" It's not many. He says, "I lose one about every 600 hours." And I said, "You'd be real skilled with engine outperformance." He says, "Yeah." So going to Sofia. Bulgarian Airlines is handless. And they said, "Captain, you and your crew are going to stay at a place outside the airport here." I says, "No." He says, "Your company says you to go there." I said, "I am the company." And they said, "Where do you want to go?" "No, I do my homework." And one of the great hotels of the world is Hotel Sofia. I said, "I want to go to Hotel Sofia." Well, it caused a little controversy. Then a Mercedes limousine pulls up in front. And now, I only had 3, maybe 4 crew members, I don't know. 4. And we crawl in this limousine, go to Hotel Sofia, and it's KGB. Oh, yeah. In fact, when I checked into the airport, I always cover all little things just in case. I got a visa before I left Frankfurt. I got a visa for Bulgaria. My crew members didn't get one because in the airlines, crew members don't necessarily have visas. It's under ICAO. You know what ICAO is, don't you? International Civil Aeronautical Association.
Never heard of it.
Crew members don't have to have visas. But I had one. So we go in Hotel Sofia. When I checked into the airport there, they didn't bother checking passport or nothing. Nothing. Just wave me through. They knew who I was. So then we get down to the hotel, and my briefcase never leaves my hand. When I take trips, I can have up to $100,000 on my briefcase. Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because sometimes you had to buy fuel.
Yeah, but
In these weird places, and they only accepted cash.
And so we checked in Sofia. My bags, they took them. And I asked them about, about a day and a half, 2 days. I said, "I'll get something to eat." And what time is the bar close? Because I'm going to get from Manhattan. It's closed. What about meals? They brought to my room, they brought us the finest meal you ever hope to see in your life, and a big picture of Manhattans, all free. And the head of security there, well, you've seen pictures of Russians with Christ, they getting a good wind, they'll sail because the hat's about that big. Head of security, and he gave me a little bit of fit. I didn't take a crap off of him. So we get to the hotel, and next day, I take off. I'm seeing Sofia, and that Mercedes is following me everywhere I go. Oh yeah.
Well, they thought you were a spy.
Well, and then Then when the first flight came in, I had to handle everything. And the first flight came in. I made arrangements for everybody. I had the airplane. The airplane could fly non-stop to Montreal. They wouldn't clear me. They wouldn't clear. I'm taking the airplane out. That's why I said the airplane can't fly that far. I was like hell. So I said, okay, clear me to Ciampino, Italy, and of course we had a contract with Alitalia, and we had radios like you won't believe, HF radios. I could talk to anybody throughout the world. So I take out of Bulgaria. I called Italy and got clearance to Montreal. But when the airplane came in, just before the airplane came in, here comes this chopper with 6 Russian generals. I'm not kidding you. The airplane the size had never been to Sofia. SAS flew into Sofia, but they flew the small 8, and all they knew it was a DC-8. I didn't put a designation, nothing on them, the 63. And these Russian generals came down and was looking at this airplane. And I was busy. So I told my engineer, I said, show them around. That was it.
Well, and also, wasn't it in Sofia that you had the thing with the calculators?
This what, huh?
Wasn't that where you had the thing with the calculators?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that he was a smash hit.
The calculators.
These were in the days
They,
when
they
pocket
They
calculators.
never saw them before, so I got back to Montreal, and I think I bought 6. I came 6, and I gave it to the wheels at the airport. And I could do no wrong, no wrong from then on, because I took the last flight out.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories of Dad's was he had a flight into Germany, and I'm not sure if it was
Germany?
Frankfurt. Yeah, it was
Oh, okay.
Germany, and he was tired. The crew was tired. It was late. He wanted food, and the only place they were serving food was at the bar. And Dad had on his uniform. And Dad never drank when he was in his uniform. And he's sitting there, and this guy comes up to him. He says, "You a pilot?" Dad says, "Yeah." And he goes, "I was Luftwaffe." And Dad's like, "Oh boy, we're getting into it now." But I'll let you pick up the story.
This hotel we stayed at, I don't like to eat in hotels. I like to get out. And it was wintertime. And everything's closed. And there's Kaiserslautern. You ever hear of the town? It's in Germany. It was a university holiday. Everything's closed. So back to the damn hotel to get something to eat. So when I left the hotel, it was like this. When I came back, it was wall-to-wall people. And the bartender back there is Axel Pfaff. He flew during World War II. And he goes like this, hey Morgan. And I says, well, wait, and I says, what's the story? I says, everything's closed. He says, it's a holiday. And this guy comes in front of me. He's the biggest German I ever saw in my life. And he says, you World War II? I said, yeah. I said, here we go again. He said, I was World War II also. He said, you like Germany? I said, yeah. He said, what do you like about Germany? I said, the beer. He says, anybody flies airplanes and likes German beer can't be all that bad.
There you go.
And
All pilots are brothers.
all we're brothers. Yeah.
Then he goes home and gets his wife and brings her back to meet Dad.
What?
It's stories. But main thing, I was not like most crew members. Most crew members, if they get out of the hotel, they're lost. Me, it was a place to put my bag down and sleep.
Dad had a reputation among his crews, particularly the stewardesses, because they got into the business to see the world, and then they were afraid to leave the hotels. And Dad was a good walker, so he was like Father Goose. They'd get in, they'd put their bags away, they'd change their clothes. Dad would be walking out of the hotel, and he'd have all his little chicks behind him. And he was like the father figure. They told him all of their problems and stuff like that. But they got to see the world because he showed them.
Right.
And I used to carry flight attendants. We used to have 7 on board, 6 or 7, and I liked to find a local place to eat. The best food. And these gals would go along with me. So here's 7 gals, and here's some old buzzard. In about 10 minutes' time, they don't even know I'm there. I know more about boyfriends and everything else. They talk about all the love life.
They said, they'd get in these beautiful cities like Florence, Italy, and Paris, and they would just stay in the hotel. They were afraid to go out.
Right.
Dad was like, well, enough of that. Let's go.
Well, I tell you what, Bob, it's been great being with you. We're going to have to save more of this for another time and maybe save some of it for your presentation.
Yeah.
I got news. I think we're taking about 1/20th.
Yeah, he's got a
I
lot
can
of
imagine.
stories. He has a lot
But
of
thanks
stories.
for being with us today.
Hey, I'm honored.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we Thank